Welcome everybody to today's webinar. I will just dive in with sharing my screen. So I will share this window with you and just give me a shout if you see the slides.
Perfect.
Great. Today's session is basically dedicated to citizen science at universities. And we are delighted to be here together with Niels from the Science Links. The two of us are both based at the Faculty of Science and Engineering at the University of Groningen, but in two different, let's say, departments. I'm at the Center for Learning and Teaching, and Niels is at the Science Links. In today's session, we basically would like to go through this agenda. We have 1 hour for the webinar, which is tight, but we will try to keep it basically to the point and in line with the planning. So after this short welcome and introduction, we will just take a look at the core of today's webinar, which is citizen science. We would like to have a shared understanding of what the concept means. So we won't dive into all the details of the definitions, but we will just try to create a shared understanding of what we mean when we talk about citizen science. And Niels will give an introduction into a specific program that we have at the University of Groningen called Curious. So he will introduce the program in a nutshell. And then most of the session today will be dedicated to working together basically on basically opportunities and challenges for conducting citizen science at your respective organizations and institutes. So we will be working together in smaller breakout groups for this. And then we will end up the session with a plenary discussion. Now, to the first point, what is citizen science? There are many different understandings of what the concept means. And I would like to start with something that is widely accepted in the field. These are 10 principles of citizen science provided by EXA, which basically defines a little bit what the concept means. It's all about inclusion of the general public in the scientific research process, but then there are things that we would like to see or we would like to have in a genuine citizen science project, and these 10 principles, which I'm not going to go through, and they're available in 38 languages, uh, clarify a little bit what we mean when we say something is citizen science or not. There has been efforts to characterize the field of citizen science. This is an example from 2020 where EXA worked on characteristics of citizen science. There has been work on the definitions on how to define different aspects of the field. And also more recently, perhaps, this publication on the contours of citizen science. But all in all, when we talk about the concept, we're basically talking about a collaboration. This collaboration started really between citizens and scientists, but we now have more actors in the mix, if you will. Decision makers, policy makers like cities or government organizations are increasingly engaged with the topic. And also we see a prominent role for the private sector with providing tools and technology, but also applications for the concept. And all of these relations between these actors are mediated through normally technology. This could be basically apps, sensors, or any other type of mediating technology. So just to sum up, basically citizen science is all about participation of the general public in the scientific research. It could be in any step of the research, from defining a research question to collecting information to analyzing that and to acting on basically the findings. And I like this illustration because this captures a little bit in essence what citizen science is about. It's about sharing findings, advocating for change. It's about interpreting data and developing recommendations based on the findings in a project. It could be about documenting and making sense of the reality that could be otherwise difficult. And it could be about designing research. It could be about finding new ways of understanding our living environment. And with this short introduction, I will hand over to Niels to tell us a little bit about this specific program, Curious.
Well, thank you, Mohammed. So as was mentioned, my name is Niels, and I work for Science Links, which is our public engagement department of the Faculty of Science and Engineering, and specifically I work for the science shop of the Faculty of Science and Engineering. So I deal with citizen science in multiple ways, but today I'm just going to share a little bit about Curious, which is our now 3-year-old citizen science program. So Mohammed, if you would like to. In essence, Curious is basically a 2-part program, which I will dive into a little bit. The first part is that it's a citizen science program in which we do research question-driven citizen science, as I mentioned. As I just called it, what we have is that we send out an open call or a call to scientists when they want to do citizen science or projects that they require citizens for, or that can be improved by including citizen science. Usually themed around either local themes or themes that have to do with the living environment of these citizens. And we get about 100 to about up to 1,000 participants per project for this kind of thing. And in the little map on the right, you can also see that we depending on the project, we get participants from either just our local neighborhood, because in blue, the dots in blue are around Groningen, but we also have projects where we get participants from basically all around the country, which was our worm count. And just to give a few examples of the types of projects that we have done in the past few years, there's on the bottom 3 pictures, there's our worm count, where people had to count how many worms, rainworms, could find in a patch of soil, be it their garden or a local park or anything like that, which is a measurement for how good the quality of the soil is. In another project, we looked at the size of spiders, the size and color of spiders in cities. That was then compared to the size and color of spiders outside of cities to see if there is a difference between those two. And the third project is that we basically measure the temperature inside houses in urban areas. So mostly it's bedrooms. For example, because there is a relation between how warm your bedroom can be and how well people sleep. That was what we were looking for. But the second part of Curious is basically that we also have a public library that not for books, but for measurement equipment. And if Mohammed can share the next slide. Which is, so as I said, we have a library, but this is not at the university. This is at the Groningen, which for those of you who aren't from here, it's meant to be a public living room of the city. It's the big building that you can see in the presentation in the heart of Groningen, which houses the actual library, a cinema, a museum, all these kind of things that are of public interest. And in one of those rooms, citizens, everybody that's interested, can borrow measurement equipment that they can use around their house that you normally wouldn't buy yourself. So a few examples are like an infrared camera that you can see in the presentation, which you can use to check the isolation of your house, for example. We have a shower head that measures the amount of water and energy you use when you shower. But for example, we also have, for people who would like to try stargazing, we also have telescopes on it and far more. And if you want to know more, then you can send me an email later on, which I was just in a nutshell what we do in the Curious program. And I would like to give the floor back to Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Niels, for introducing Curious. Now, we saw examples of work that is being done with the Curious program, and previously with this basically network, the Enlight partners try to map a little bit all the public engagement efforts that are going on across different universities and different organizations that are partner. And this work, if I'm not mistaken, Hank, is from 2 years ago, right? Uh,
Yes.
and I will put a link in the chat. So if you're interested in basically looking a little bit more at the results, you can just a second. You can go to this link and then take a closer look at this table and the initiatives that are going on. This is not a comprehensive list, but it's a good starting point to see what's happening in the network. We are doing similar things to try to map out a little bit what type of activities are going on at the universities. We did this exercise with the University of Groningen and UMCG, with the medical center at Groningen. And this is the results of a workshop back in July. So we tried to also map all the different activities that are going on within the University of Groningen and within different departments. Just to mention that at the working group at EXA, the working group on citizen science and universities, we're also working on ways or structures to capture all these initiatives with a little bit more details beyond their names. So this is an ongoing effort, and if you would like to be informed about it, you're more than welcome, I guess, to join that group or just get in touch with me in the future. So this is a work in progress, I would say. And with that, let's take a look at what we want to do today in this session. We will basically working on two specific questions related to citizen science at universities. We would like to look together into what resources or opportunities already exist at your organization that can be utilized to foster citizen science across different groups, institutes, faculties, or the university as a whole, or your organization as a whole. And you can think about different types of, for example, projects that are around, but also people, networks, facilities, equipments, things that could be used really to either support ongoing projects or create new ones. In the second question, we would like to take a look at challenges and needs, again, in relation to setting up running citizen science projects or collaborating with each other on the topic. And the way that we're going to work is that we're going to use Miro today. I will provide in a second a link in the chat that you can use to go to a Miro board. And the idea is that to work in a smaller group, so we will have breakout groups, 4 breakout groups, and you will be randomly assigned to these groups. And there are boards there with these two questions. So the idea is that you use digital post-its to write down ideas. In the beginning, at the top of the form, there is a place to put your name so we know who was in which group. And then you use the post-its basically to write down your ideas. I'm not sure if everybody has worked with Miro before, but I will also put a quick instruction on how to use Miro in the chat. It's also on the link that I will provide in the chat. So let me just go back to the Miro board. Just provide the link in the chat. Here you are. So if you click on the link, you shouldn't need access to the Miro board. So you should be able to go there without signing in or having to sign up on Miro. And I will put the instructions on basically using Miro, but also working in the breakout groups there. So Hank, I think we should be ready to move to the breakout groups. I will stop sharing.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I think time went by very fast. First of all, apologies if there were difficulties with working with Miro. In a short session like this, it's also difficult to give instructions correctly. I tried to jump between group 1 and 2, and I think we were somewhat successful in using Miro. I see a lot of post-its, but the groups were also very active, so thanks for the active contribution. I think it could have been a longer session with more time to work on this, but it would be nice at this point to just take a stock of what we discussed in each group. So if I could ask one representative from each group to basically tell us in a nutshell about the key points that were discussed. I will start sharing my screen again with the Miro board, so we all take a look at the stuff that the group has provided. So let me see. So I will go directly to group number 1. So may I ask one person from group number 1 just to give us a quick summary of the resources opportunities that they identified, but also the challenges and needs. Do we have a representative? Joanna, may I ask you to give us a quick summary? Hello. Okay, so if there are no volunteers, I can go through the resources opportunities here. So you've provided quite a lot of links. We discussed that some of these links to basically are either two places that we can find information about ongoing activities. Some of these are at the national level, but also some at the university level. There are ongoing activities like, for example, a computational drug designer experiment that could benefit from creating a citizen science project around. And there were some points about also engaging support groups. For example, I've asked for the explanation here. And I think, Olat, you added this. Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit.
You can switch on your microphone with the button on the bottom of your screen. Oh, if it's not working,
Okay.
too bad.
Then,
Sorry.
okay, too bad. But then we will read over this. I just, for the interest of time, I move to the challenges and needs. So in the challenges and needs section, we have identified quite a lot of usual suspects. So things about funding for citizen science projects and events, things around lack of knowledge on how to keep the volunteers engaged with the project or engage them in the first place. There were a nice discussion around the need for legal frameworks, for example, on ethical issues, on who owns the data, where to store the data, what are the permissions for use of the data in a citizen science project. So those high-level guidelines are missing, perhaps. Things around leadership readiness at the university or at the organization, and also more technical things, infrastructure for long-term storage of citizen science data and who can access these. So there's a lot of opportunities and challenges identified by Group 1. Thank you for that. I will move to Group 2. We were a small group here with David and Tim. So if one of you could basically give us a summary of what you discussed in terms of resources, opportunities, and challenges.
Yes, I could do that.
Thanks.
So the resources and opportunities that we saw were so collaboration with different faculties and research groups. So a lot of internal interfaculty collaboration. Sorry.
Yes, please.
And then I think social media is also a good resource to at least reach out and get a dialogue started. And then at the UMCG, that's the University Medical Center in Groningen. Obviously, we have a lot of contact between patients and their doctors. Those doctors may also have research tasks. So that could be a good source, it could be a good opportunity. And then obviously we also have cohort studies in which there is a lot of information being gained from the citizen, but it's also the citizen that has a quite a passive position in those cohorts. And then in terms of challenges and needs, bureaucracy, obviously, and privacy regulations stand in the way of collaboration. Time pressure on the side of citizens. So when are they going to do this? Difficulties concerning when to get citizens on board. Yeah, if you do it really early, then you as a researcher don't have a lot of initiative when it comes to drawing up research questions. But if you do it too late, then it's not going to be interesting for the citizens. So I guess the timing is very important. And then also how to reimburse citizens to their for their time before a grant is received. So if you use citizens' input at the grant proposal stage and you don't get the grant, how are you going to reimburse the citizens then?
Thank you so much. Very interesting issues, also very relevant for what you do at UMCG as well. Thanks a lot for giving us a summary. May move to group number 3, and I was not there. Perhaps Niels, if you were there, or a person from the group can give us.
I see
Yes.
Sylvia is putting on her mic.
Okay, so we're also a small group, and unfortunately a group of people who were more like meant to be observers in this session. So we didn't have so much to share. So we were more talking maybe about about the challenges or and needs that we were talking a little bit about how to gain trust of citizens so they will be willing to be part of research projects. And the second was about the awareness even in our institutions about citizen science implementation or involvement of citizens, that we would appreciate to have some map of existing initiatives which could be then used for example, new educational activities which can be used for challenge-based education modules and similar things.
Thank you so much, especially the point on the mapping activities at your organization. As I mentioned earlier, we're working on some sort of structure for capturing that information and also hopefully visualizing it in a nice way. So let's be in touch on that, and it would be nice if we could provide a structure and then you could use it basically to map these activities at your respective organizations.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, let's move to group number 4. And do we have a representative here from group number 4? You've also quite added a lot. And I see a course by myself here, MSc course on citizen science.
Yeah, so I can say something, Eva here. We didn't discuss anything, so we just added. So there was no real discussion. We just added a lot of post-its.
Okay.
And yeah, I think there's a lot about the science shops, but it's also because it was a randomly assigned group with many people from Groningen.
Okay. Okay, maybe lucky or unlucky coincidence. Sorry for that, but we can go through the post-its perhaps after this session and try to find the links. I saw in the challenges section that again quite a lot of usual suspects appeared. So the need for money and time, and then privacy issues that the other groups also covered. Recognition is something that we come across quite frequently, and policies within the institutions, faculties, or across those. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for adding all this. I will stop sharing my screen here and just go back to the last slide that we have for today. So I don't know if it is now in the full screen or not, but not a problem. So we talked about basically the key findings a little bit, and we have the inputs. So hopefully we can get in touch with you if you have questions around that. Feel free to get in touch with us because we are doing these activities, these mapping activities, and trying to understand or figure out what's happening, at least at our university. So there are ways of collaborating and learning from each other if you're busy with something similar. And if you identified during this discussion by reading the post-its or by getting inspired by what is written on Miro on possible collaborations across different organizations or within your organization, I would be happy to personally support that. I think it's the same with many people that we are working on the topic of citizen science at the University of Groningen. So just get in touch and let us know if there are opportunities for cross collaboration. With that, I would like to basically close the session. So go to the last slide, unless there are questions from the participants, and we have a couple of minutes. I would like to thank you all for participating in this session. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. Are there any questions?
So if there's no questions at this moment, you can always send an email to either me or to Mohammed. And there's one from Yvonne. So Yvonne, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much also for organizing this meeting and bringing together different communities in different countries. What I wanted to ask, and maybe Tim is still there, because I saw that in one of the groups, I think it was group 2, they discussed about the interactivities via social media, so using Facebook and Twitter and all of the different platforms for CS projects, which is okay. But I think we also need a discussion about different or alternative infrastructures to do CS projects within university infrastructures and within universities, because I see a huge debate that has happened this year when X became more radical in political terms. And the question for me is if we still, trust the commercial and the big players, the big platforms, or if we should rather invest in alternative, smaller scale infrastructures. And there I would also see an opportunity to work together within different universities on a European level.
Great question. Tim, do you want to respond to that because it was posted from your group, or?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's a bit of a trade-off between you having to trust the companies you don't really trust on the one hand, and being inclusive on the other. I feel that whenever we try to reach out to citizens and to patients, and we get quite a heterogeneous group. Sorry, a homogeneous group. It's the higher educated, and often 60+ community in Groningen that tend to go to our citizen events if we invite them into the UMCG, for example.
Yeah, I can add to this discussion because one of the next webinars that we intend to organize is also organized as we invited a speaker from UMCG who has set up a course for scientists on how to use social media. And this can be like one of the discussion points in that webinar. So I will bring this forward to her. We're still discussing the actual dates. So the next webinar that we have is at least 25 January on creating impact from research, so by our colleagues from Bilbao, from University of Basque Country. And we will have one on how to set up this course for scientists to use social media. So it will not be a training session, but it will be discussing how this course is set up and what kind of elements are in there, because the use of social media can be different in different countries and also to reach different target groups, of course. So, but thanks, Yvonne, for bringing this forward, and welcome to Enlight from at the University of Bern, our newest partner. So if there's, don't know if there's any other question, but if not, thanks again to everyone who participated in this workshop, and to Mohammad and Niels for organizing it. And I'm looking forward to see you again in one of our public engagement meetings. So have a good working day and a good weekend ahead, and stay safe until the next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.